Welcome to the second episode of NFL Ruckus. This evening, as always, joined by Justin. Raymond is back. Looking forward to what he has, what questions he has this week. But we're going to start off with his rankings in just a minute. Joining this week, we got the other half of Sports Ruckus. We got Jesse Peel here. I'm Wilson. All right, let's get to it, man. We got the five wide receivers in episode one. We got another five for you guys tonight. But before we get to the five for tonight, Ray, what did you walk away from last week? You know, you're over there taking notes, had other multiple screens up, trying to cross-check and cross-reference things. So what did you leave with?
Here's what really jumped out to me. Like, it was crazy. I went through the five. When I went away, I wanted to just, like, for lack of better words, clean my palate. And I looked at all five all over again, just objectively by myself on the big screen, because, you know, I'm looking at the little scroll screen on my laptop and stuff like that. And what I realized that nobody talked about is I hate the comment section. Everybody that commented and said something negative to Justin or G, you are horrible people. You are grilling people about their opinion. An opinion in the middle of a pandemic. This is what you're doing in the 2000s. This is what you're doing with your spare time. Yo, these are my friends. I am not an expert. This is the point of it. I don't know any you 9 times out of 10 you know more than me. But I know my friends, and I'm questioning them about why they feel the way they do. That's the process. I'm training these guys so that when they talking to Jerry Jones, they can sell him on the draft pick. So Justin can buy me a car. This is not about the comment section. This is about me getting a car from Justin in the future. So everybody chill out. My top, so from 5 going to 4, D Brown. What jumped out to me was Wilson is kind of like always, like, he don't get too high, he don't get too low. He wants to fight D Brown. I don't know why, but I just felt it in my gut. There was some serious trust issues that he wasn't. He's not my number 5. Seth Williams. If you're selling me something and you don't have a basis for, like, whether it's a bad offense or whether it's him, it's not a good way to start, because these are prospects. It's not just a prospect. I'm putting money into you. I'm putting time into you. I'm putting a draft pick. I don't have the capital or the time to decide whether it's a bad offense or it's just the way you're schemed or the way you're running these routes. It's just not a safe bet, guys. It's just not. Bateman, he's solid, man. It's just he's just in the middle. He's fine. He's fine. Your one and your two gotta be Chase or Powell, and you gotta go Chase number 1, man. It's just. Dude's a beast, and nobody could disagree that he just wins. Sometimes we just don't like the way that he wins, and he's my number 1 by far.
Damn.
Hey, man, I told y'all it's a good omen. If I go through the whole thing and I'm not muted, something's wrong. Something's wrong, all right? So again, consistent, building good, wrong habits, but it's consistent. All right. So you can dock me for being muted. I need the check the box for being consistent. You can count on it. We got another 5 today, so I'm interested to see what you have to say. At the start of episode 3, Ray. All right, we got some big guns today. We got Devontae Smith from Alabama. Yeah. We got Terrace Marshall, LSU. Yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown, USC. Get into some folks' favorites. Some people are just hearing about about these last 2, but don't be surprised if you hear the names higher than you may think of, or if this is your official introduction to them, that's cool too. Dwayne Ethridge, Western Michigan, and then we got Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. Justin, you wanted to start with Devontae, right?
Yes, why not? I think with Devontae, man, he's the only thing you can say about him is that he's frail. He's kind of built frail. That's basically the knock. Like, the knock on him is what might happen. Like, there's nothing on tape that you haven't seen him do. You know, you're saying, okay, he's 6'1", 175, but he's strong. You see him beat the jam. He's made every catch you can imagine. He's tough after the catch. Like, the injury to Waddle was the best thing to happen to him, because you got to see him carry the load this year. You know, you got to see him catch screens, and, you know, the other years it was more, he was an outside receiver and was just running specific routes. But this year he ran a lot of screens and a lot of, double moves and things like that. But I think you're just getting a polished receiver. You know what I mean? Like, But the difference between like him and like a guy like Bateman, where you're saying he's matured, and it's like, okay, this is just a guy who's more experienced than other guys, was you got to see some breakaway ability. And I think that was big for him being going to be like a late one to an early one. And he just wins. I think that's going to be the thing that you can't knock that. Like you can say, well, what might happen, but there's no video of it happening. So he's going against the best corners in the country, and he's beating them all. They say Horn was a top guy. There's tape of him beating him. The Georgia corners, he beat them. LSU corner, he beat them. So basically, you're just saying what might happen, but there's no proof of it happening. And he's done it over many years. With all the receivers Alabama has, he's been their go-to guy in every clutch situation. So I think that's what just makes him stand out to me. Dang it, what's that, Ken?
Yeah. Jesse, no, you seen Devontae before? Did you want to chime in? You want me to go ahead and get in there?
No, I have. He's actually one of the guys that I definitely watched right off the rip because, like I said, it's one of those things where Waddle was the how can I put it? When somebody's gone for a bit, you almost forget about him for a little while. So the best that happened to him was that. But him playing against corners like Horn and playing against corners that are supposedly some of the best in the country, that thing is what impressed me. Looking at his body type, it did at first kind of throw me off a little bit because playing guys like that, you think, okay, can he get beat up by bigger corners? Can he get beat up off the line, especially in press coverage? But he played it well. So, I really can't knock him for that.
Yeah. Another thing to add to what Jesse was saying was just he's decisive. Like a lot of times you're looking for like a lot of these dance moves. He has it in his game, but if you watch him, he's just determined to get where he's got to get to. His release might just be turning his shoulder. And now the defender can't get his hand on him. As opposed to you watch these guys that are giving him 5 different steps at the top of the route. He just wins immediately, and now the quarterback knows he can go to him. And I think that's kind of like something that gets overlooked because we want to see highlights. And look at this play right here after the catch. Like, you don't expect that from him, to put that burst on and run away from a LSU defense. I think that's just – and then he has another thing that he's really good at is he works back to the ball and he plays through contact, which is more than you would expect for somebody that small. To be 6'1", 175 pounds, that's like scary weight. You know what I mean? That's like Allen Iverson, So, to think what he's doing, it's special.
The other thing that kind of worries me too is as far as blocking. Somebody at that size, that weight can be an issue as far as blocking goes. If you're getting further down the screen passes, getting further down the field, is he going to be the guy getting thrown out of bounds? Now there's an extra defender to cover that situation is. So those are one of the things you kind of worry about. But we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah, for me, I think it's one of those things where when you have to look this hard to find something wrong, sometimes you gotta just let things be.
Yeah.
Like where we keep talking about is weight. Yes, I get it. I have the feeling he's been his weight most of his life and he's been comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Whether it be from Pop Warner, middle school, it's not like some huge weight gain. And I think this is one of the things where it's to a degree, it's beat a dead horse about it. That's the only thing people keep talking about. I'm not talking about you guys specifically, but it's weight. Does it affect how he plays? Nah. I've seen people who love putting a big hand on people like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to press you. Like I did it a couple times, but I'm cool because I can't connect. And my whole thing is if you have enough functional strength for what they're asking you to do, I really don't care, man. I just don't. You're getting paid to get open, secure the ball. And he has no issues with the stuff about his job. We're questioning his weight. And Jesse, I feel you with the blocking thing. And even then, again, it's leveraging. Do they want to? Long as I've seen it, he doesn't have an issue of oh no, don't hit me. I don't like contact at 165, 170, whatever he is. We don't see him shying away from it. I'm cool. We've seen some people 220, 230 plus, no, I don't want that. I'm good. That's smoke. Stay away. We don't see that from him. The yak yards. If you break a tackle, something bad's coming after you break one tackle. More people are going to hit you. He's fine with it. I just think he's one of those things where, you know, I hate like the safe thing, but again, like a lot of times people focus on what people do wrong so much. If that list is that short, what are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What are we talking about? Boy, he about to have 2 quarterbacks, first round quarterbacks, who had what do they have in common? The luxury of throwing to him amongst the other dudes that were there. You lose a wide on Devontae here. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll go for 2,000 yards or whatever. Get a trophy, chip, whatever. Everybody knows I'm getting the ball. It's fine. Still couldn't stop it. So I just think it's one of the things where people are trying real hard to be why he can't be successful.
I got a question for each one of you guys. Wilson, I'm gonna start with you first. Where's he projected to go?
I mean, I think he's all over the place because, like literally what I was just talking about, I think that's happening for a lot of people. At least in terms, I think like maybe draft Twitter, but like as far as the NFL goes, I mean, it depends. We've seen dudes with slight frames have long NFL careers. We've seen dudes that were physical freaks that were like a year in and decided to do something else with their life. The dude consistently wins. You can count on him. Like if it's me, I'm cool with him in the top 10. The top 5 might be too rich depending on who's taking them. Because I worry about are you gonna get the most out of them, or are you gonna take them because of other people's perceived value and then pigeonhole them once you get them? Then I'm not mad at Devontae, but you know.
Jesse, what do you feel his worst game was last year?
Oh, that's the thing. Like, I didn't see a game where I see like he faded out, and I think that's one of those things to where that impressed me was like, all right, I didn't see a game where I just thought, okay, where is he on the field?
Okay.
So as far as his worst game, I can't think of one right off the top of my head.
Just the NFL comparison.
It's a rough one, but I hate to hand this out, but I'm gonna go with Martin Harrison is the one I think of.
Really?
But I love Martin Harrison, so it's hard to give that out. Yeah. But you know what? One of the questions I actually had for you guys was, you know, like a guy this size, and there's nothing he can't do. I mean, like when you're not watching him, and you watch other players, you see him making leaping catches and going through contact. So it's really not. There's nothing he can't do. It's scary. It's scary, but you're just trying to say, well, you know, history says, but sometimes it's just history's wrong. So I think the question would be is, could he be your number one, like a guy like Diggs? Because there's not too many smaller guys who are true number one. So can he do the stuff that like a guy like Stephon Diggs does for your offense? And that's the question. Like, is like a guy like Diggs? Is that like an anomaly, or is that like today's game? Can you put him outside and just say this is our guy? I mean, he has the flexibility to move around, but are you willing to base your offense around him? And that's a question for each team.
It's interesting you asked that question because if you remember Harrison came out of college, they came out of Syracuse. That's one of the things they questioned about him. What the number one guy on a team because of kind of his body style. But the thing is, we've all played defense and we've all played against receivers that were shifty on either, you know, getting out of a break, getting to certain areas. Those are the ones that kind of gave me the biggest issue. As a linebacker coming down at me, it's speed. I'm like, okay, I can pass him off to my safety or you know, do whatever. That one guy that can just tear me up with the footwork, I would get nervous about that. And so with him being that kind of a guy, Diggs may be an anomaly per se, but I think he's talented enough to be in that same kind of mold.
You know, also, like Wilson said earlier, like the pressing sounds like a good idea until you miss once. You know, like the jam is a great plan, and then when you miss, you're like, yeah, let me take a half step back. You know, let me take another half step back. You know, like, and you notice that in the tape, and you know, as you watch the games, you're like, how come no one's jamming? Like, yeah, they tried.
Hey, man, because it's a great idea too. Yeah, it's a wonderful idea. And then next thing you know, by the time the third quarter starts, you in off coverage. You starting the game.
12 yards off.
Hey, look, life come at you fast.
Right.
Like it happens so quick. I'm staying with the Colts. With the player comp, and I know everyone, Marvin Harrison's a clear thing because immediately thinking about his weight or whatever. Play style for me, I'm thinking about Reggie Wayne instead of Marvin. Just because Reggie was one of them dudes where still people don't give that man enough respect for the fact that he can. There's nothing he can't do in the field, and he was legit a one. But people went like literally throughout his career, found a way to try to like knock him down a couple pegs, even though he was consistently the same. Better than consistently a problem. You consistently didn't have an answer for him. You consistently had these wonderful ideas, but they never really worked. I'm not saying that's exactly what he's going to be, but I'm talking like in terms of play style because Reggie was a dude. You could go up top, he'll go get it. You put the ball around Reggie, go get it. He had a Reggie, younger Reggie. He can get out on you just a little bit in space. Reggie wasn't really well-rounded wide receiver.
I like that. Yeah.
Ain't put a lot of respect on him just because. And people still disrespect him now. Like, still now. It's like, But I get everybody saying Marvin. I feel like that's just like, the body type, the skinny arms.
The game's more Wayne.
I rarely see him like. How many times, like what we were watching, you see him catch the ball and go down? And this is not me knocking Marvin at all, but like,
right. Even the extension on the catch, the same thing.
There's no fear. And again, not saying that with that guy, just. His play style to me doesn't match up with Marvin. Just his body type does.
Right.
Again, welcome to all other comps too. So, because there's a very good chance I have no idea what I'm talking about. So keep that in mind. Gonna slide over to Terrace Marshall. LSU seems like they got a factory over there. So go ahead, Jesse, kick this one off.
Marshall, man, I think with him, he's like, if this was a few years ago. He's like the prototype. Now we've gotten away where you can be a smaller receiver and it's okay. But Marshall is one of the few receivers in this class who has the body type of the 6'2", 200 pound, 6'3", 200 pound guy. But he still runs in the high 4.3s, low 4.4s, has the vertical. Like he actually in this class, he was the top one coming out of high school. You know what I mean? But being on the LSU team last year in 2019 where they had Chase and they had Justin Jefferson, he still ended up, I think, scoring like 15 touchdowns, but he was the forgotten guy. He was the one on the backside, winning, when they give it to him occasionally, but he never really got to show what he could really do. And then this season, he was the man. They threw him inside, they threw him outside, and he showed the ability to win from inside and outside. And he showed the ability to make big plays and, make plays at the catch point. And for a bigger guy, he's got good footwork. He's actually, I think he has a chance to be a star, to be honest with you. I just think people haven't seen him. I think being at LSU and having the other two names around him and Burrow and all that, and then this year LSU just kind of was terrible. So I mean, he was dominant, and then he just had enough and said, I'm done with this, and set the rest of the season out. But he's a talented guy. He's physical. I think he has a chance to be like I said, if he goes mid to late one, and he has Pro Bowl potential.
Jesse.
It's not a ton I could add to that. He's the physical body type is exactly what you're looking at, and he just, simple fact of him boxing out corners the way he is and the way he makes his grabs the way he does. It's something, and this is a tough comparison for me to make it. Maybe not as talented right now, but like it feels like a Devontae Adams kind of situation, where physically. He's got that physical body type, and he can almost seems like a game given the opportunity to do so. So it's a little. I've watched him. Never watched him a ton of them, but the film I have watched of him was impressive.
All right. I think we covered most of the things of how he went. All right. I guess from a fit, Justin. I guess I'll start with this off before passing on to Ray. Scheme wise. Where are you comfortable putting him, or do you feel like there's a limit on where you could put him in an offense?
I think he's shown that he can do a little bit of everything, but like he's your regular, your everyday number one receiver. Put him out on that on the X and just let him. He can beat press, but you can move him around as well. So I think he has in a year or two you can probably build your offense around him. But I think there's really no limit to what he can be as a player. The occasional concentration drop and all that, but I think he just shows the ability to do it all.
All right, Ray, the floor is yours, man.
I don't know about this one. You guys don't seem as I can tell when you guys are juiced about something. Just you says he does everything consistently really, really good. But I mean, you that he does everything good. But what does he do consistently great that you would say, like, if it was that one thing that stands out about him, that one thing that's he's top of the list on everything, nobody else is him, his thing.
Well, you know what was weird in this draft? There's no receivers that have it all, meaning like the size, weight, speed. You know what I mean? Like most years, you're saying the number one is like we always say, the Julio Jones. Like he's one of the only ones with that kind of body type. Whereas everyone else, you're saying, okay, this guy's skinny, this guy's short, this guy's that. So in this class, that's what he has. But the one thing I like about him is he's a bigger guy with small, like me and Wilson always say, is a bigger guy with small man feet. You know what I mean? He has quick feet, but he's a bigger guy. And being that they were really young this year because everyone left, he had to do everything. You know what I mean? He had to play inside, outside, and move around as opposed to like last year, he was on the opposite side and the ball was going to Chase and Jefferson and he'd get a one-on-one matchup and they take advantage of it. Whereas this year it was just like, go here, get the ball, go here, get the ball. So it was just a bad LSU team. But I mean, like I said, the thing with him I like about him is just a bigger guy who can move. You know, you're not expecting quickness from a guy that size.
So you okay, so you like the way he works with his size, and you think you think it's an asset that he just does a lot of things really, really good. That is his great thing. What I want you to open up about a little bit more is the tail end of that. When you were describing him, you said he sat out the rest. What did you mean by that? Like he sat out the rest of the season, sat out the rest of.
Yeah, I think he played about 7 or 8 games. And if you see the last game he played, you would see why. The quarterbacks were spiking the ball on the ground and throwing them. Like, it was just they went through like 3 or 4 quarterbacks, and they had a bunch of guys opt out actually. But I think at one point he just ended up having enough. What's gonna make him look bad is that it was right before the Alabama game, but still.
And you feel comfortable enough that it wasn't like him mentally checking out because of the situation. Like it was bad enough that you'll give him like a mulligan for that one. Is what you're saying?
In a COVID year, the way this year went, I think you kind of just can't. Without talking to him, I really can't, say. But I think the way this year went, you just kind of got to give guys the benefit of the doubt because we don't really know their situations.
Jesse, you would give him the benefit of the doubt too?
I think that's one of those things to where Justin actually mentioned something really big at the end of it without talking to him. This is kind of where you had, as a GM, I'd want to sit down and talk to him. Like, I'd have a ton of questions for him at that particular point is, how did you feel your team were playing at the end of the season? What was your biggest frustration? Like, this will be an interview, like a real interview. I'd have a list of 40 questions or whatever if I have that issue. You had, I've noticed this on tape. You've had some concentration drops, previously.
Mm-hmm.
What is that from? What does that come from? Why do you feel like you're the best receiver in this draft? Like, just a ton of questions that would make me kind of understand him as a person better. If I'm going to make him right, yeah.
Wilson, you keep it a bean all the time. What do you think?
I don't know. For me, I think I'm with Justin on this one. For me, I think it was enough to see on tape previous to this. And I've got to include that we're literally in a pandemic and be like, all right. This seems like it's a little.
I mean, I'm not really judging the kids too hard with the pandemic year. For some of the kids, like, for example, like just with college basketball, them kids been through some things. He's been through the year, all the tests and everything else. What their families might be going through the pandemic, you can't see them. They're also still kids. There's adults. We're not all dealing with that well as adults. I'm not tripping too much off the COVID year. I think the toughest thing for him is just like he had to wait his turn, and then when he waited his turn, there wasn't a quarterback.
Okay.
Like that's the thing I think for him that stunk the most. Whereas, like, for example, for like Devontae, he was at Alabama the whole time, but both like 2 guys who might end up in NFL, will end up in NFL at the position, were still there at the school. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he ended up with whoever or a youngster and waiting for him to figure out. So like a youngster inherited a Terrace Marshall. It's not the same as like Mac Jones inheriting Devontae and Waddle. That's totally different.
Okay.
the other thing is things like what's it called? Their play caller left the school and everything too, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
didn't Joe Brady, like Joe Brady was running that exciting offense with Burrow and Jefferson when they had all the fun toys. That's a kid where it sucks, but like I'll probably go the other way where I give him a little bit more credit for choosing to play. Somebody else might have been like looked around and be like, I'm cool. I
Think about it.
can afford this year.
That's what Chase did. That's what Chase did. Same team. Chase set the year out. Yeah, Chase was supposed to be playing with him. So I mean, it's the same thing.
My man Chase looked around and was like, I had a pretty good 2 years before this now.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing for Terrence was stuck. He doesn't have the stats that Chase was able to get. Justin got his stats and bounced. He in the league. In Minnesota acting a fool. Chase got his stats. He got enough stats. He could take a year off. Me and Justin were eating. I get to relax. I'm still going where I was supposed to go. Hands down. You know, Terrence was like, damn, I didn't get a chance to put everybody couldn't see everything I could do. Like y'all had a Burrow. I got
somebody.
Like I can't even I know they got 2 kids taking turns. Like, anytime you got 2 quarterbacks, you got none. That's what's going on at LSU right now. Going through some things. But for me, I think it's one of those things where I'm interested in seeing what team, like the type of teams that can afford to take him in the first round, the type of teams where you already got a guy. And then this is the thing where this is a buy low and the payoff is it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So like this is something like if you're the Colts, like you know what I'm saying, you hit on Pittman already. This might be a hell of a compliment to somebody like that. If you're one of those teams last year, one of those many teams that got one of them special wide receivers, hey, here's another one. Let me add you to the bunch. You know what I'm saying?
Cincinnati's second pick. You know, if Cincinnati goes offensive line in the first round, grabs him in the second, instead of going Chase first, go Lyman first, go him second, and throw him a Burrow.
I mean, not to be mean, and Packers fans, you're gonna get mad, but like, how about you go get Aaron, the actual talented wide receiver, alongside Devontae?
Right.
How about we just finally do that? You know, instead of all these projects and like this is the guy that y'all thought y'all's other little projects could become. It's him.
Right.
Like this, you ain't gotta wait for Valdez Scantling and all this other stuff. And I mean, he's cool, but this is what you can get like right now. Like this is what you already missed on. Like this guy's already that. You don't gotta project. He just had to wait his turn. Them other dudes, they are who they are. You did what you did, and you still where you are now, not having enough weapons to win games and such. Still Devontae.
Put him next to a guy who had to wait his turn.
I wouldn't be surprised if, after a few games, he had done enough to where, he was hearing talk from agents. Like, yeah, you done enough. Okay. Let's go into the draft, start working out, start getting ready for the combine. I mean, he put up crazy numbers at the combine, so maybe, at his pro day, so they was probably around that the whole time, waiting for him to have his breakout game, and they're like, all right, you done enough, which is probably what happened.
And the other thing to keep in mind, like we talk about Jamar, how big he plays, talk about Justin Jefferson, how big he plays. This dude's technically the tallest of the 3.
Right.
Let's keep that in mind. Just throw some fuel on that, right?
No, yo, look, man, this was the last 10 minutes, that was a great segment. You could clip that and just put that on. That was a great 10 minutes, for real. Yeah, I was talking.
Yeah, because like that would be my thing, honestly, is like you got Jamar. We already know what that is, right? You got Justin. And people was questioning Jefferson, offensive rookie of the year. One of y'all really brave enough to miss on whatever the baby is? Seriously? All right, go ahead. Y'all go ahead and do that.
And can we say Justin Jefferson was offensive rookie player of the year with that quarterback? So, simple enough. I mean, he's that talented. So if that's the guy, and you think, okay, you have that quarterback, why don't you put him in Green Bay with a Hall of Fame quarterback and watch him and see exactly what he can do under another receiver like Devontae Adams, who had to wait his turn.
Okay.
And not to knock Steeler fans, don't come for me, whatever, because a bunch of y'all ain't know who Chase Claypool was for y'all drafted him. But folks took a chance on Claypool, like literally just off tools. You were like, oh my God, that big, that fast, something got to give. Ben got a big arm. Why not swing on the fence? This is, to me, this is even less of a swing at the fence.
Right.
Like you got an idea. Like Claypool ain't had none of this tape for you.
Nope.
Yeah, none of this. My man got SEC tape. What, we gonna get mad because he wasn't getting the ball over Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson? Yeah, that sounds bright. Let's dock the young boy for that. Darn it. Your NFL quarterback throwing the ball is literally eeny, meeny, miny, mo, whoever got open quickest.
Yep. He could easily be the best player on this best receiver in this draft. Like by the end of this, by the time this is done, you could honestly say that he could end up being the best receiver in this draft. And I'll give you my comp. Well, I'm somewhere between his ceiling he could be Allen Robinson. That's you know what I mean, or maybe Corey Davis. Like those are the two names that hit me watching them was Corey Davis and Allen Robinson.
Yeah, it was tough for me to think of a comp. Just because it's just like thinking about his weight, but like with his play style, I'm not really mad at that. I also do anticipate like the kid should be able to put on another 10 to 15 comfortably and be all right in life. He's a big kid. It'll be okay. But yeah, like, all right, so like my comp I'm gonna chill on my comp till like some years happen down. I'm gonna wait till like midway through the season, but y'all just reference the comp because I ain't trying to throw it out there at the moment. Because if it's disrespectful, then I'm definitely not. It's not worth all that. All right, here we go. Green Bay Packer fans, I'm sorry, but here's your man's brother, Amon-Ra St. Brown, USC. The name sounds familiar. Equanimous. This is one of his younger brothers. All right, one of his younger brothers. Let's get to it.
I got it. He's the best of the St. Browns, which I don't even know if that's really a compliment, but he's polished. Like he's just really good. Like I mean, we said that about Bateman too, but he's like he came into college already knowing how to play football. So he's a good route runner. He can win inside, outside. He took some snaps at running back. He's not super explosive, but he gets open. He can catch the ball. Like there's really no real weaknesses, but you kind of just wish he was more explosive. You know, like he kind of just like when I watch him, I kind of see like a Christian. I mean, it's early for the comp, but I really see like a Christian Kirk type player. Like he can win inside, outside, but he really might be an inside receiver. Like that might be where his bread is butter. But again, he can run your offense through him in the slot, as opposed to having him outside because he's not really a threat. The more I watched him outside he wasn't really threatening defenders. So like the defensive backs had no real fear of him because they didn't think he could run by him. But I mean, he uses his body well. He high points the ball well. He's not scared in traffic. He's good with the ball in his hands, but he's just an above average athlete as opposed to an explosive dynamic player.
All right, Jesse.
I'm leaning on Justin for this one. Being that he's that player comparison that you gave as far as an NFL wide receiver comparison, would you be nervous by him fading at certain points in the game?
I think depending on where you play him, I think like the names I kept thinking of honestly were Christian Kirk, Randall Cobb, Robert Woods if he played outside, but I just don't think if you put him inside, he's tough, he's physical, like he's not, he's going to make certain catches. Like you're not, like we talked last week about guys who you didn't trust in third downs. Like you trust him in third downs. Like USC would force the ball to him and he'd make some tough catches, but you're just not he's not running away from people. You know what I mean? But he's crafty, he knows how to get open. And I think you're getting a good player. It's just the value of where you're going to take him, But if he's your third guy, you're in a good position. If he's your second, you can live with him. You know what I mean? But I just think you're getting a good player. He just doesn't have the juice.
Yeah, with him, I think that's the toughest part with him is there's so much that you like, but he doesn't have that extra gear. And he's just not gonna have that extra gear. Even as you guys seen some of the clips, you get a little bit of yak, but there's not a lot when he hits the switch to get upfield.
Right.
Stick that foot in the ground to get upfield. But again, like Justin said, it's somebody you count on. He consistently got to the chains. He moves the chains. So I mean, I'm not gonna knock him for that. There's always space for somebody like that, and somebody's offense. Somebody got to be that guy. So I mean, again, I definitely like him for that. He's I think the thing is that like the weird thing for him that's kind of stinks is he doesn't have the freakish physical gifts his brother has.
Right.
But I think he's a better wide receiver in every facet than his brother.
Right.
His brother just got, the 6'4", 6'5", in this straight line speed, but I think he does everything better as far as the actual position goes than his brothers.
Jesse, are you asking more questions? Because that was my role, but don't want to step on your toes.
My bad.
Just
watching the film that I'm watching now on and here. I mean, first of all, it catches with his hands. I mean, that's always a big thing as far as receivers go. Because I always get nervous about body catchers. But they seem to definitely, in key situations, get him the ball, especially in short yardage.
Yeah, Wilson brought up him moving the chains, but I wrote down 16 touchdowns. Everybody else's touchdowns are kind of not even close. But so he's more of the third down guy. He's the guy that we trust moving the chains, but he's not the touchdown guy.
Well, you know what's funny? Last year, I mean, what's it? Whatever, 19. Remember, they had Pittman there last year on the outside, so
Okay.
he was predominantly slot last year, the year before, and he was actually their big play guy because Pittman's a big target, and they had another receiver on the other side that's another kind of possession guy, and he was their like slot guy, and you got to see him be a little more dynamic in 2019, but then last year with Pittman leaving and him being the man, they tried to move him outside. And he not say he got exposed, but he didn't see as much this year because he went outside. You know what I mean? I think just like here's my comparison. Like coming into this season, I viewed him as like, is he in the same tier as some of these explosive players like Waddle or those type of guys?
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched the tape, I was kind of let down. Maybe my expectations were too high. As in, like, he's just solid. He's really solid. He's a good player. But again, he might be my question really is he a slot only? Or can he win outside on a consistent basis?
Was it the corner, or was it just him being outside? Was it like the
caliber
corner he went against? That was
no, it was him.
It was him.
I'm just saying. I know he really wasn't separating. So the corners, like they were LSU. I mean, I keep saying LSU. USC's offense is really simple. So it's a lot of stop routes and go routes, but the corners had no fear of him. So every comeback was contested. So there was really no threat of him running. They weren't scared of him running by him.
And that's because he's not tough but not fast.
Right, and he makes some tough catches, but every catch shouldn't be that hard. And I think that was my biggest issue with him, and it really bothered me with him. It made me go back and watch 19 because I'm like, this ain't the player I was looking forward to watching.
Wilson, is it still a value pick if it's 20 through 30? Is it still a value pick? Or is that the range?
I mean, I get you talk about in the first round for him, right?
Yeah.
I'm not taking him in the first.
Good. Okay.
I'm just keeping it a buck, and it has nothing to do with him. It's just value. Like someone's gonna get great second, like day 2 value with him as a pick, but in round 1,
high second round. High second round.
Okay, so like this, I would say this: if you're a team that took him high second round, you at least got an above average tight end and at least one big boy outside. You know what I'm saying? You at least got one definitive outside threat and either an above average tight end or you got 2 outside threats and he's the guy to help work the middle because your tight end ain't up to snuff.
Where you taking him at, Just?
You said Just or Justin?
Just.
Oh, yeah. For me, I'd probably say, like, knowing the rest of the receiver class, I'd probably say late second round, early third, just because what he does is kind of replaceable, and that's your concern. Like he can be your third receiver, but what are you for you to run your offense around him? Is he explosive enough for you to draw up plays for him? You know what I mean? That's my question. Is like,
okay, yeah.
When I draw plays up for Devontae, I'm getting a touchdown.
Okay.
I draw plays for you, I'm getting 12. I think that's. What do you is he Cole Beasley? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is he? What kind of player am I getting here? And he's not those guys, but I'm just saying that's So I think as a solid number 3, a reliable third target, that's fine. But it's just more like how close are you to where you want to be? If you're a playoff team, he can fit in. But if you're you're a bad team. You don't draft him and say we got him now.
Yeah, it's definitely being aware of who you are as an organization and knowing where you are. Like Justin said, like if you're comfortable already and you ended up with a pick with someone else's pick via trade, you need a slot guy. Hey, by all means, have at it.
Mm-hmm.
With this type of class, and you need a guy, I'm gonna swing for the fences for day two before I go knocking on his door.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out with somebody who could have been, when we look back, could have been drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
We like, hey, what the hell is everybody thinking that dude was here? Like I'm gonna go out on that type of prospect.
Yeah.
And this is not an indictment on him. It's just one of those things. Somebody's gonna get good value, but that value it should not be in the first round. Somebody doing the first round, look.
You know, he's better. He's better today than somebody. Like you'll see next week, we got some guys, a weird group of guys, like to project, because it's a lot of the other slot guys. But those guys are home run hitters who can be hit or miss. Whereas he's better than them today, but those guys could be stars. Like or they could be out the league. You know, I think that's where you're measuring the swing and miss of your pick.
He's the I played for 12 years type dude, because he's going to keep a roster spot because again, you know exactly what he is, what to expect out of him, and there's nothing wrong with, but that's that. Like Justin said, that other group of freaks to a degree, and it's just like elite traits and potential, and folks start drooling over all that stuff. Man, you are hop skipping and jumping past this kid, just because you're thinking of boom and bust, and he's just, me.
Like he's a veteran. He's a veteran his first day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like just like this dude's old. Like he's 21.
I mean, it's a 4-year vet.
Yeah,
on draft day.
Right.
And that's it. All right, we're going to move on to the last two guys we got. These are some exciting folks here. We got Dwayne Eskridge, Western Michigan. Justin, this is one of your guys, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get in on this one. I brought him up last week, but he's my sleeper. But he's explosive, man. And what's crazy is to hear that he's only been playing receiver for a year. He was naturally a DB, which you'll see because he's a physical. You know, they say he's kind of like a jerk. Like you'll see him in his releases, he'll punch a defender in the head. Like he's just that kind of guy. Like, but if you watch some of the clips, you'll see how quick he gets upfield after the catch. I mean, just maybe not in this play, but after the catch, he's explosive. I mean, he can run by you. He hasn't run a ton of routes, but at the Senior Bowl, he embarrassed a lot of corners. But I mean, he's a home run hitter, and again, I keep throwing the comp out early, but he has a little bit of Deshaun to him because it's more like the long strides, explosive 1-foot cuts. I mean, I think Deshaun had a little more shake to him, but he has that type of he's that type of threat. And another guy I actually thought of was Ruggs. You know, he has some Ruggs to him because Ruggs is kind of straight line-ish, but has a little more physicality to him. But I mean, he's a threat to score every time he gets the ball. And I mean, to see a guy score on 60, 70-yard touchdowns on that many hitches and slants, and I mean that's his game, is basically hitches, slants, and go routes. But when you're that explosive, if you can run a go and a comeback, and you're that much of a speed threat, them two routes they fit together perfectly. And then the slant also, because they're playing off because they're scared of you. I think there's a chance to be a big play guy.
Jesse.
Just watching the few clips here, you can tell he's a big corner because he has no fear. Like there is literal. It's like he understands. Okay, the ball. So playing corner is an advantage already of. Playing corner, he has an advantage of knowing. Okay, this is what the other person's thinking. But just the way he catches the ball and he turns, like he expects contact no matter what, even if it's not coming. And that's impressive.
I think some folks gonna be mad, and I can't wait. This is a dude some folks thinks Kadarius Toney is.
Oh, wow.
This is the guy. Now I'm gonna jump out there and say it.
Yeah, man.
The way folks be waxing poetically about Kadarius Toney, This is the suddenness y'all keep trying to transfer onto this gentleman that he doesn't have. That's different. That's the stuff. If Kadarius Toney was this, a lot of more of us would be so excited. And I like Kadarius Toney. This is sudden, folks. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me put this back up. Well, I said this is sudden because he heard me. It's different. All right. It's just a little bit different. I think these some of the same clips. Hold on. Let me find it. That's some 11-11. Yeah. This is different. You're not supposed to house that. That's not Kadarius Toney. All right. We don't have clips of that. That's a tackle. He housed that. One step, he was upfield and housed it. It's different, man. This is the suddenness. This is what some of y'all keep trying to tell us dude is, and not the same. Just want to let that just sink in. That's why it's a little bit different. Obviously, there's some negatives there because he's a smaller guy. It's not like and this is one of the things where I get bothered when everybody sees a small guy that's fast and be like, oh my God, Tyreek. Nah, what makes Tyreek different? And Tyreek go up for 50-50 balls like somebody was 6'5", 230. This is still a little dude who where in the air or whatnot or like contested, you saw some of the Senior Bowl clips. He's still a little guy at times. He's going to have those moments. But what you've also seen is when he does get the ball and he brings it in, somebody got to deal with that, and it's not fun.
Right.
Here you go. Look at this poor corner right here. Hold on. Let me find it. I'm sorry. I can't keeping these clips to myself. Look. Y'all see this poor corner? He didn't even do nothing, man. Look, he didn't even realize what happened yet. Here you go.
I think the thing I like about him most, man, is just I think it's like knowing who you are. Like he's decisive. One cut and he's up the field. You watch some of these other guys and they're stop and start, and maybe not in today's NFL, but you play like that and working across the middle of the field, you're gonna get your head knocked off. But here is snatch the ball, get upfield. And either you're gonna tackle him or it's a touchdown. There's no other option. You got one chance to get him or you don't. And I think that's one of the things I liked about him, even at the Senior Bowl, was just the separation he can create. And he's
Justin, you feel like he's running by corners in the NFL like that too, though?
He's threatening them. You got to respect.
Okay.
That's 4.3 something, if not lower. So you got to respect it. And again, he's probably gonna have to improve on his releases because he's coming from Western Michigan. But again, you got one chance. And he's tough. Like you said, he's willing. He'll take one. He'll take a jam and walk through it. Whereas some of the smaller guys who are scary, I think again he's kind of straight lining, so you're probably gonna want him as off the ball.
Yeah.
But I just think the threat of that speed and the toughness he has, he can hurt you in a bunch of ways. It's not
So
just one
he's
way.
impressed you with the limited amount that he was at receiver that you feel comfortable drafting him?
I do. Just like I said, watching the game. If you watch the game tape, you're gonna see goals, slants, and stop routes. But then watching him at the Senior Bowl in the one-on-ones, kind of seeing how he was able to make beat press coverage and run different routes than he did in college. Kind of showed you what he has. Like there's room to improve, obviously, but you could see what his potential.
Because they're going to ask him to do a lot of different things in the NFL level that he might have been doing at Michigan.
Well, right now they're going to tell him to scare the safety. They're going to say, okay, safety's got to have his eye on you, and it'll open up other people. Because even like if you think about the Raiders, as bad as everyone says Ruggs' rookie season was, part of Aguilar's big season was the fact that Ruggs was out there. No one wants to admit it, and they want to say, "Oh, this guy failed and this and that." But when every time you come out the huddle, there's a guy that runs a 4.2 out there. You had to have your eye on Ruggs or somebody. You know what I mean? I think that's something that gets overlooked.
You sound like you agreeing with him, Wilson. Talk to me.
Oh yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's not going to be immediate, of course, but it's a little guy who's not worried about the contact. You're going to have your moments, and that's also on to the whoever drafts him, the scheme, how you utilize him. Yeah, there's going to be times where you're going to have to put him on there and make contested catches, and this is one of those things where we talk about some of those guys in the slot. This might be one of those cases where if you need to move it on 12 and it's contested, that's when you probably a little bit more comfortable with Mr. Amon-Ra. But if you can scheme this guy, it's something where I can get you. It's a slant. It's an RPO. He's already moving. I wish you the best. I'm gonna get my 12. Because like in my eyes, like worst case scenario, We can start you off in a slot and figure it out, brother. Everybody else is trying to run all these types of bubbles and fun stuff with people who aren't half as electric as you.
Right.
Get you in there, figure it out. But again, what I really love, and I know Jesse and Jesse both said it, the fact that he likes contact and he's coming from the defense side of the ball. So, you know, you already wired a little differently.
That's what Jesse said. Yeah.
He just got to, I hope he ends up in a place that can get the most out of him. Because you might have something that's going to be a problem for a lot of folks if you utilize it correctly.
Yeah.
Any idea what rounds he might fall into, the guys?
That's speed.
I know. That's why I'm asking. I know.
I think that speed's gonna make him. He's gonna be a top 50 pick. Just because every year a second round is usually weird. Like you'll see some guys. I could see. I wouldn't mind if Miami doesn't go receiver in the first round. I think that would help because with a lot of the RPO stuff they run with Tua, you know, you put the ball out there, pull it out, and hit him on slant routes. I think that'll open up. That'll give him he'll be kind of like one of the Alabama guys they had. You know what I mean? So for Tua, that would be a good fit there, and you know, I could see him going top 50 definitely.
I'm somewhere in that 50 to 65 range, like top 65. I feel safe. Like the 40 times gonna definitely someone's gonna be like, hey, again, what we saw about earlier. If I'm gonna swing it, hey, that's what I want to swing. You know, I want to waste my swing on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna use my swings to be on something like that. And the other thing is, again, with everybody copycatting some of these offenses around, he fits in a lot of these offenses where you want him to do a lot of this stuff. You know, you can see him being one of the guys using ghost motion, come back, fake the bubble, do something crazy. That's the guy you do the crazy stuff for. Let him go nuts, right? But again, if for some crazy reason you're drafting because you're like, oh, you're going to be Tyreek Hill, then you should be fired. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that. And even like with the Ruggs thing, I feel Justin. I do think he can be utilized similarly. But like that's the thing. Ruggs speed is oh my God, both of us got to back up speed. I don't think dude got that. Like the Ruggs thing is a little like there's levels to everything. And you know, that's like again, you know, we're laughing and playing so about Miko or whatever. Miko has that oh God get back speed too, where despite whatever it may be, let me take a couple steps because I might not be Ty, but I'm closer to him than anybody on your team is.
Right.
Like
but
you're
gonna get something different from him though. Then I think he gives you more as a receiver than a guy like Nicole.
Yep.
And then I think even Ruggs is kind of raw, but I think with him, it's you get that toughness. I think that toughness is what's going to be what separates him. And again, you're still learning. I mean, that's the other thing is with 1 year receiver and making that many big plays, you have a chance to get a star. And then with the NFL, I mean, we know how the NFL is right now. It's a copycat league, so there's probably teams can convince themselves that there's 5 Tyreek Hills in this draft. You know what I mean? And there's probably none. Or there might be one that we'll talk about next week. But teams have a way of convincing themselves of some weird things.
Oh, they will. They definitely will. You can definitely trust them to do just that. Last one we get into tonight, Mr. Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. It's another one of Justin's folks.
Yeah,
I'm also a fan of this kid as well. But you know, we're gonna blame it on Justin first.
This is my guy, man. He's special. He's a talented dude, man. He's a smaller receiver, but if you think about a few years ago when Kiffin first went to Alabama, he had Amari Cooper, and he gave him. I don't know. They had their quarterback was I think Blake Sims, and no relation to me, but anyway, Blake they gave Amari the ball every play. I mean, like every play, screen, bubble, reverse, double move. I think Amari had like 130 catches, something crazy. Did the same thing with him this year. Every play was somehow involved Elijah Moore, and he was dominant. He went inside, went outside, and again, same thing. Being in SEC, you watched him beat up on good corners. I think there's tape of him beating Horn. There's tape of him destroying Alabama, and you just see a guy who's. I think the big question is just: is he slot only, or can he win outside? And from what I've seen, he can win anywhere. He's tough. Strong hands, makes can run after the catch. And again, seeing the way they used him, you got to see him actually take handoffs and see him, run a variation of routes. I just think he's a dangerous. He actually runs in the 4.3s, 4.4s. So has home run ability, which you don't even see because he's such a good route runner, so smooth. But definitely I could see him being a top. He's a top 5 receiver in his class.
Jesse, did you want to jump in, or is your first time seeing him?
Yeah, and so one thing that kind of stood out real quick, just from again a small sample size right now, seeing him was he looks like he's got a really quick stop start. Like he can actually get out of certain breaks. That there was one play that I just seen a little while ago where he caught the ball, shifted his weight way faster than the corner did, and got out of there and went in a completely different direction. So those guys are really lethal when you get in an open field like that, or even I'm one-on-one with a corner.
Ray, you can jump in there, man.
No, these are great clips. I like the yeah, weirdly, I like this film more than the other 4 films. I don't know why. I don't like, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, it was the footwork and the pattern of the like I just this one jumps off. There's one every week that just jumps off or whatever, and it's like I think I got just a spot, man, where I'm just like, yo, just smooth, man. Where it just look like I can trust you. You just go get the ball. Somebody I like football players, man. Like it's a football player, a complete football player, man. It's just jumps off the page, just solid. Everything. There's nothing to critique. You know how you go, oh, I don't like that thing. It's like, nah, he's doing all right. Does that make sense, though?
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's doing it all right. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of why I think Justin put him in this group, right? Where there's a couple guys where it's like the things that they do well, like you want to kind of try to complain and find things, but it's like, is it bad? you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, even like I don't mean to keep picking on my man, but like Amon-Ra St. Brown might be the most of all these dudes where it's like he has to be a certain place. And he's in like, yeah, you're not that fast. That's true. Do you separate? Not that much. Do you win? I do. Strong hands? Yes, sir. Consistent? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm gonna get mad at you because you're not faster. You do what you do. You have.
How tall is he? How much you weigh?
This kid's 5'9", 182, 185. Jess, you want to jump in with a player comp? Because I got one that I agree with, and once I thought about it, it's now hurting me and giving me nightmares consistently.
Hope you don't got the ones I got.
But... probably go ahead.
I got Antonio Brown and Brandon Cooks.
Okay. Woo! All right. I'm gonna raise you those two. And
I got a third one with a question mark, but I'll see if you say
go ahead. You can go to the third one, or you want me to go ahead and throw mine out?
You got it.
I'm gonna go to my second favorite person that gives me personal nightmares in the division for the team in which I root.
Tyler Lockett?
Yeah, it's Tyler Lockett, bro.
Yeah.
That's Tyler Lockett, dog. That's Tyler Lockett, man. That looks too familiar. Like I saw that comp and then just kept watching the tape, and I'm like, I can like give me shakes. I know that. Yeah. Like it looks too familiar. I could think, oh man, yeah, he got that. Yeah, he came down with that one too. Yeah.
You see that enough times, right?
Bro, it's sad. Like some comps you be like, oh man, you got to work to see it. I saw somebody said that, man, sat here watching. I was like, yeah, that's just flashbacks, different plays within the last 2 years, and that's Tyler. Because a lot of people they'll look right at the. He been with Seattle for a minute. People look right at Seattle and be like, oh, they need ... Dude been put. Then sometimes you watch games and they put his accolades up. You're like, well, you had to be there for a while to do some things like that, didn't you, young man? Yeah. And honestly, can any of y'all tell me his greatest knock on Tyler Lockett outside of the fact that he can't make himself taller?
Right.
Like that's the only knock. Like, oh, are you physical? Yeah. You gonna go up and get it? Yeah. Do you need that much degrees of separation? Nah. Do you move different? Yes. Yes. You can get all these dudes running the same route, and he moves differently.
Right.
He moves differently. Like it jumped out. I was like, oh, that's that thing I hate.
Right.
Because that's the type of dude where I think both Jesse and Ray, you mentioned about you enjoyed how smooth he was. Tyler Lockett he make 4-3 look like he just on cruise control. It's 4-3 the whole time, but you feel like you relax just watching. Like nothing's going too crazy. But then they show you the replay, and he looked faster in the replay than it did in live action. And you watch a man get broke off in slow motion, but dudes still look fast.
Right. You know what? We assume some of these other guys are faster because they're working so hard. But in reality, this is just a calm 4-4, calm 4-3. Yep.
And that's the scary part to me. Those type of dudes, no matter what sport it is, the athletes where, when they, the guys that are violent, when they shift and you can see them shift, yeah, it's exciting, but it's also easy for us all to see, like, there was an effort, like we saw you switch gears. The dudes that scare the living hell out of me. No, you might have 8 gears and you look like you in 2 the entire time. The entire time you haven't left 2. But the separation, look, we watching you on screen, it's like this. You don't look like you trying, you got so many gears, it's just like, I'm not going to shift up until I have to. Oh, you're good enough to make me have to get to gear 4? Bet. Here's gear 5. Oh, we in 6? I got 7, sir. Like, that's that dude, man. It's one of my favorite nightmares. Can't stand him. Respect him. He's a killer. Tyler Lockett's a killer, dog. A whole killer. One of the few player comps I saw there on the internet, I was like, yes, I agree. Wholeheartedly.
While twitching at the same time.
I had the shakes watching it now. I watched this 3 times already, man. I don't enjoy it. Like, I enjoy it, and then it bothers me, start twitching. I'm like, oh, Akello, no. Oh, my God. Like, yeah. No, don't leave him. Don't leave the corner. Yeah, it's Tyler Lockett. It's really crazy.
Wilson, do you guys know what the 5 are for next week that you're going to do, or you like it to be a surprise?
I actually can tell you by like process of elimination. I think I can. Yeah, actually, hold on. I got you. All right, we got Tutu Atwell, right? And then we got Rondell Moore. I'm sorry, Kadarius Stoney fans, but your man's next week. We got Mr. Jalen Waddle. And then we got Mr. Jalen Darden. We got some more movers next week. Some more of those guys we were just talking about.
Yeah, so I'm not completely blind.
Nah, but yeah, it's I'll give you a quick preview. You're gonna see more people that move in the same gear, effortless gear that we were talking about. Okay. Possibly all 5 of them. It's really disturbing.
4 or 4.5.
Oh yeah, 4.6 of them.
Yeah.
4.3.
Yo, Jesse, it was good seeing you again, bro. I know it's been too long. Usually, hope you come back next week, next time we do it, because I'm gonna give my top 5 about the guys that we're breaking down today. But I'm tuned in for the next show to see that. I'm on vacation, so I can't stay as long as I would want to, but I just want to send my love and appreciation to you guys again. Thank you, and stay out of my boys' comment section. You all suck.
Want to thank y'all for hanging with us tonight, though. If y'all had any just parting messages for the folks, or I feel like we pretty much got everything done tonight. I'm already ready to get to a different position. Excited about these wide receivers. I want to go argue about some edge rushers at some point. Looking forward to it.
I'm ready for some corners.
Oh, we gotta go argue about the corners. That'll be fun.
Too. Yeah.
No. I'm looking forward. There's a lot of corners. I'm interested in see who's on the list you passed to me, because there's a couple names I don't see. I have the power to add them on my side. I look forward to it. You're gonna see the thing go from 5 to 8 players. What happened? Well,
I'd add a few, or just deleted some.
What happened to so and so? I found someone better. But looking forward to getting to these corners. It should be a good draft, man. A lot of positions got a lot of talent. It's literally coming down to teams being smart enough to understand how everybody fits. And we all know that never works in professional sports. It's only like the same handful that figure that out. So Whole lot
What makes it most interesting, honestly, is just there's a lot. It's congested, so there's really no like besides the quarterbacks. You could be in my opinion, like everyone's cornerback one isn't my cornerback one. Cornerback 5 and cornerback 1, the gap ain't that big. Receiver, even the top 3 receivers could be flipped however you want, and then from 4 on, we all liked Marshall, we like Moore, we like different guys, so you can get different guys at different times and still feel like you won the draft. So I think how you scout and team fit's going to play a bigger part than just, hey, this guy's good and this guy's not.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, just to piggyback on that. The good teams are going to find guys that are able to come in right away and contribute.
Right.
Because there's like, again, this is a draft full of, at some positions you got the guys and the complimentary guys. At some positions you only got the complimentary guys. And then you're going to watch some teams try to lie to themselves and try to be like, you're the one that can be this different. And man, is he though? Do you have him in the right surroundings and environment for him to possibly unlock that place you think he could go? Because if you do pick wrong, it's setting you back a draft. Because someone else might get somebody where everybody looks on the big board of their position. We're like, oh man, that's edge 7, right? But say edge 7 goes to his ideal landing spot.
Right. Yeah.
That boy gonna hit the ground running. Never look back, because he found out that it's a team he never needs to leave. What if he ends up on one of them teams that already has the guy on the other side? Sounds like fun.
And they can develop people.
Well, I heard that's a lost start these days, so that's also very interesting. Look, I want to thank you guys for hanging with us tonight. Episode 2 was definitely fun. Next episode, we'll let you, we'll pop up on you guys again when that is. We're gonna finish off the wide receiver group, so that's great. We got through 10 wide receivers, got 5 more left. Then and actually, how about this? You guys got opportunity. You got mouths. You got fingers and such. Let us know what position group you want us to go to next. And otherwise, Justin's gonna choose, and it's out of your hands. So don't say I didn't give you opportunity. It's just being recorded. It's proof that you got an opportunity. Hit us in the comment section. Hit Justin on Twitter. Hit Jesse on Twitter. Let them know what the next position group you want after wide receiver. Don't hit me on Twitter. I don't respond. You guys have a great evening. It's been episode 2 of NFL Ruckus.